What's going on, guys and gals? K1GMM, Steve, Vermont. I'm going to hopefully this won't be too laborious. I'm going to work with the IC7300. The WPX, CQ contest is going on this weekend. And I figured, hey, Greg, how's it going? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a work through. I was talking to Dave, KB9EEH, I think is his call sign this morning on the All-Star system. And he had just picked up a 7300. So, hey, Billy, how's it going, man? And I have a 7300 here, as you guys know. And I thought it was time that I actually do a comprehensive video on how to handle QRM on this transceiver. There is a myriad of functions and controls you can use to combat close-in QRM, or any QRM for that matter. However, because of the complexity and the number of steps that need to be taken, it can become confusing. It took me a very long time to kind of learn my way around what needs to be done to handle the heavy QRM. Hey, Peter, how's it going? Bad storms in Chicago. Wow. So what I'm going to do is we're running just on the transceiver, and I'm going to go through all of the different functions, how to find them, and how to get them working, and how to make them do what you want it to do as far as handling QRM. I don't know if there's another video online. This is probably regarding this issue. I don't know if there's any videos. I've never seen one. This transceiver is probably going to go down as legendary as far as just the sheer, they still can't build these fast enough. I don't quite understand that, but people are still buying them like toilet paper. Unfortunately, the 7300 is like toilet paper in the stores right now. I don't get that whole thing, but yeah, so I'm going to go through everything that I know, which may not be everything. Okay, I'm going to put that out there, but I'm going to cover a lot of things here. So hope everybody's doing well, and you're all having fun on the radio. I don't know if I decided I don't think I'm going to work the contest. I may work it a little bit later. I don't know, but I have some projects going today, so I figured I'd do this. They are like Harleys. Yeah, no kidding. They're kind of like opinions, aren't they? Everybody's got one, and they all stink like a toilet bowl. Just kidding. I love all this smack talk I've done about this radio. This thing. Okay, Lester, I hope it helps you. I really do. I hope this is of help. It's daunting, the amount of functions that are on this radio. And I'll show you a workaround that makes it exponentially easier. But you will need a cat cable. GM4ZJI, what's going on, spectacles? So, let me tell you what's going on here. I went ahead, I'll just share the news first, because we're streaming, and this is kind of informal, right? I placed an order for an SDR Play Duo yesterday. I've been doing a lot of research on diversity reception. So I went ahead, pulled the trigger on that. I've sold a bunch of stuff, so I've had the money to do it. And I'm going to be lighting up SDR Uno. Now, what I'm in the process of doing, of course, you guys know the antenna systems I have here. And I need a noisy antenna to make this diversity work. So remember, I had the NFED up a while back. And what I'm doing is I did the prep work this morning. I got to get the antenna launcher, the tennis ball launcher, to put a line over a tree. I'm going to basically cut that 136.6 foot NFED in half, turn it into a quarter wave on 75, 80 meters, and set it up the same way as I had the NFED quarter wave 160 and half wave end fed 80 meter with a 49 to 1. So what it's going to look like is it's going to be a single 60 something foot piece of wire, goes to the top of a tree vertical. I'm going to take one radial, send it out, and this is a receive only antenna for diversity. I want the noisiest, ugliest thing I can possibly get in there, but I'll still have it here. And at the base of it, I'm going to install the relay. I have to run a new line in the shack, which is going to be a freaking nightmare. If I could take the camera and show you what's coming through the ductwork in the ceiling, I don't know if I can even get another line in here. This place is a cluster bomb with cables and control lines and, coax, all that stuff. So once I get the control line in, outside, I'm going to drive a post in the ground. It's going to have, the coax is going to come into the relay. The relay, I have to figure out which default position. I think I'm going to have it sitting, because 75 meters is the noisiest band that I pretty much work all the time. I'll have it sitting in the default position, which will be a quarter wave, okay, on 80 meters. And then I'm going to have the relay, when it switches, it's going to go over to the 49 to 1, making it a half wave on 40 and up. So if I'm on 40 meters and up, I can just flip the switch in here. The relay will kick it over to the 49 to 1, turning it into a half wave, and it should give me a fairly flat SWR right across, maybe even to 2 meters. Like, I'm crossing my fingers that I actually can get a low SWR on 2 meters. Just a side note, man, that 136.6 foot vertical I had up, kind of sloping and kinked. It went up like this, and then kind of kinked like this, and then went up to about 105 feet. That thing on 2 meters was below 1.5 to 1, and you should have heard the FM broadcast I could get on that thing, on the SDR. Freaking crazy. So that's the system I plan on running, and that paired with the arrays I have should give me a very good noisy receive antenna to kick in the diversity, which will basically collapse the noise floor and make the weak signals jump out. Fingers crossed. That's what's going on. That's the news. I'm working on that today. I don't know if the duo will be here today or not. Yeah. So here we go. We're going to get... Ooh, I'm sorry about that. I left the radio on. Hopefully you can hear me okay. So the audio you're going to be hearing is strictly on the 7300. There's no SDR console. There's no ASPI thing running or anything. It's this is pure 7300. So first of all, let me walk you guys through exactly what's going on here with the different settings. I wrote them down. Okay. So what we've got on the 7300, let me make sure. I have to hold it back here for it to focus. There we go. Okay. So here are the settings that I play with on the 7300 to control close-in QRM. Hey, Corey, how you doing? Oh, everybody's selling stuff and buying new gear. Good to see you, man. The RF gain is 1. These are all important. One of them is not so important because I can't really tell the difference when I use it. The RF gain, notch filter, the RX bandwidth, twin PBTs, noise reduction, IP plus setting, and EQ on the receive end. So this isn't in order, okay, but I'm going to place it here so I don't lose track of what the flipping heck is going on. So I keep things somewhat intelligible. At least you can make sense out of them. So I'm going to get the headphones on. I'm going to get over to the 7300. So let's pull up the radio, and now I'm going to start walking you through the settings, okay? This is initial setup to get things going. First thing you want to do is you want to set your RX filter bandwidths. To do that, on the 7300 display, see that filter 2 right there? Push and hold. That'll pop open this window. To adjust the bandwidth, you hit bandwidth and you roll it in. What I do, let me exit back out of this. If you just tap this, it'll cycle through the different filter widths. All right, so I have, if you're going to set up for contesting with Bombacious QRM, which is what we've got this weekend, the first thing you want to do, I would set at least 2 different filter bandwidths to start with. Filter 1, I usually will put at 3 kilohertz. So that's at 2.4, and that's pretty wide. Excuse me, let's set that at 2.8. So you tap the BW button, take the VFO knob, and roll this to 2.8. Okay, that one is set. You can also change it to soft. There. I usually run it sharp. Okay, that one is set. So go up here and tap that icon again on the screen. This goes to filter 2. Wind that thing. Oop, shoot. Don't forget to hit bandwidth. Wind this into, I would say 2.4. Make sure you're there. Hit the bandwidth again. That's set. Now hit filter 3. I will usually move this into easily 2 to 2.1 kilohertz. So hit bandwidth again. Let's just go to 2.1. This is going to be extremely pinched on sideband. Very pinched. I'm just warning you, but it does come in handy. So once that's set, touch bandwidth. That's done. Press and hold on the meter. This is assuming you don't have this up, the scope. The scope is very handy, of course. If you press and hold, it would open all the way. Okay. This is great for finding signals. Once that's set, you can bring your scope back. Press exit to go out of full screen on scope, and then press the M scope again, and it will disappear. Press and hold the meter, and it will reopen your ALC compressor, SWR, whatever you got in there. Which is, I run a pan adapter, so I don't pay any attention. I don't use the scope on the IC7300. Okay, once that is done, go ahead and start with filter 1. I think you're going to find that that's going to be too wide, but I'll start with it anyways. Remember, that was set at 2.8 kilohertz. Press and hold on the meter. It will disappear. Okay, once that's done, you can go ahead, click function right here. You can activate the IP+. This moves the third order intercept point. I have not found this to help at all, but it's designed for heavy QRM. I'll just say that. If you can make it work or figure out how to make it work, let me know. Exit out of there. Your IP+ is on. Okay. If you're using the noise reduction, and we'll go through this, if you notice the noise reduction on this transceiver makes the audio very muddy. Now, you may be able to compensate for that by going into Menu, Set, Tone Control, RX, Sideband, and here's your controls. Just tap on it to adjust it. I have mine set at +1 and on bass and +2 on treble. If you use the noise reduction, it is fairly effective, but you're going to find it mutes the audio pretty severely. So you may have to go in here and bump this up. You know, we may do that, but I'm going to leave it right there for now. Okay, that's the EQ. Back out. Okay. 2 more things. Here are your twin PBTs. These are incredibly powerful if you figure out how to use them. And when we get into the actual working on the air, I will walk you through exactly how to use those. The last thing was the notch filter. So you've got two different notch filters on here. You have, if you press this once, you'll see on the screen AN pops up. That's auto notch. Okay, if you press and hold it, it goes to manual notch, and you can adjust the width and the position of the notch. This does work pretty well, along with the twin PBTs. So here we go. We're going to light everything up. I'm going to turn the notch off. I'm going to turn noise reduction off. And we're going to start working through this. Here we go. And this is going to be a little brutal to listen to, but we'll make the best of it. Okay, so...
Okay, please copy your number, 921, 921, roger.
Okay, so you zero beat him.
Thank you, good luck in the contest. Sugar 50 whiskey. Contest, Sierra 50 whiskey, Sugar 50 whiskey.
Okay, so you hear the splatter coming in. So how do you get that out of there? So let me show you exactly what I do. I'm going to walk through the settings.
Okay, grazie, ciao. Sugar 50 Sugar 50 whiskey, 50 whiskey, contest.
I want to try and make sure my audio is above that, because that's going to be tough. Okay, so your twin PBTs, you have the center knob and then the outer ring, and it will shift the passband in two directions. And you've actually got people, let me mute this for a second. You've actually got people on both sides of the passband splattering in. So this is a good demonstration of the twin PBTs. So let me show you exactly how that works. It's different than an IF shift. An IF shift only moves the passband in one direction. So you can go to the outside. See? Okay, so the splatter on the low end has been suppressed quite a bit. Now you can take the inner knob, roll it to the left. Okay. So you see that a lot of the QRM has been really suppressed. Now it does pinch the audio of the station you're trying to work, but he should jump out at you. Now one of the important things to remember is this is a very hot receiver. It's a barn, I call it the barn door. It's a little garish, it's a little harsh to listen to. So the best thing to do is to roll your RF gain back. So we'll play with the RF gain. This is the RF gain control right here. So you can move this back. Move it down. Okay, now you've got the noise reduction function, okay? So let's bring the noise reduction in. Okay, so if your multifunction control up here on the right-hand side, you can press this once. Oh, what happened? No, we're not there yet. Okay, press and hold the NR. This button right here, press and hold it. And you can bring the noise reduction up. See how he jumped out a little bit? See how it mutes the audio? Now you can comp for this. If you may be able to go in and adjust the EQ, but remember, if you adjust the EQ, the high end splatter, the sharpness is going to increase on the splatter. So that's always something you can try. So let's go back down. Hear that? See, his audio really isn't suppressed. It's just a little muffled. Okay, we'll roll that back out. I usually set it no more than 2 or 3. Okay, so now you've got the notch filter. So let's go to the notch filter. Press and hold it. There's the manual notch. And you can roll this back and forth. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It actually gets worse. Because the notch, so I'm going to take this out. Engaged again. Okay, so the notch does, if you listen closely, the notch does make the audio jump out if you get it set right. See how it does affect the audio, but what you want is a copyable station. You want to be able to copy him in the middle of that mess. Okay, so if you want to reset everything, right? So you want to reset everything. You can press the center knob on the twin PBDs, press it and hold it, and it will reset it again. Now let's go back. I'll take the noise reduction out. There's also something you need to be aware of. I forgot to mention the AGC. Go to function. There's your AGC right there. So you can press and hold that. It's on fast right now, and I have it set to 0.3 seconds. You can set it, I think, yeah, lowest AGC fast is off. I have it set pretty quick, 0.2, 0.3, your mid setting and your slow setting. For contesting, I run the AGC very quick. This is very fast-paced stuff. I don't need any pumping in the receiver. You know, because if you set it slow, you're going to have to wait for the AGC to recover, and there'll be no receive there. So, exit. And so my AGC is set to fast. So what we're going to do now is now we're zeroed out. We'll bring the RF gain back up all the way. And this is with no adjustments.
4 Papa 59931. Whiskey Victoria 4 Papa 59931. 140, thank you. Sierra 50 Whiskey. Sugar 50 Whiskey, contest.
Okay.
November 8, India Victor November 59.
Now, if you're at a station, right? you're listening to a station and you just can't seem to dig them out. The splatter is so horrific. You can always, remember we adjusted our filter settings. So you can go to, if you remember where they were set at, press and hold. Go ahead and zero your PBTs out. We're pretty wide right now, 2.8. So the very first thing you can try is to narrow your bandwidth, narrow your filter bandwidth. So remember, the narrowest filter was filter 3. So you can switch this to filter 2. Switch it to 1 if you have to. That's pretty pinched, like I said. Let's go back to filter 2. I believe that was what, 2.4 kilohertz, right? Whew. Much better. You know, okay. So that basically, I think, will give you a quick let me mute this. That's basically it in a nutshell. But as you can see, there are a ton of settings you can fuss with on this thing. I'm going to show you a workaround for this. So stand by. I got to get the other screen up. Okay. If you can find the free version of HRD, the last free version of HRD, this is a great way to deal with this in real time without having to jump through all that crap on the radio. Let me show you what's going on. If you can get, if you've got a cat cable for the 7300, if you can find the last free version of HRD, go ahead and install it. There's a great video by K0PIR. K0PIR. Just type in IC7300 Ham Radio Deluxe in YouTube, and his video will pop up. He shows you exactly how to get it running. What this does is it gives you a control surface for the radio. Okay, at the bottom here, and of course yours may look different. I don't know what yours looks like. You can change the color schemes and all the crap. Now, definitely not going into all that. But if you look at the bottom here, you've got all these parameters. Now this, keep in mind, this is the last free version of HRD. It needs to run in the, as you'll see in K0PIR's video, needs to run in the Icom 7700 profile for it to work. But it gives you a lot of these controls right on the screen. So you don't even have to touch the radio. You don't have to fumble around in the radio. The only thing you will have to do is you will have to activate, make sure your noise reduction is on. And if you want to use the notch, you have to turn it on the radio. So noise reduction here, manual notch here, for you to be able to actually control it in the software. Everything else you can control. So we're going to do the same thing, but using the software to do it. And you can see, it's a personal preference. I just find it easier to have a control surface on the screen as opposed to messing around on the radio. So here we go. Let me get the audio back on. Trying to find my mouse. I got too many displays here. You can roll. Thank you, Sierra 50 Whiskey. 50 Whiskey, Kilo Nancy 2 Mike, 59, 939. You can roll 59, 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939. 939 So you can roll your RF gain back with the slider here. Shut the receive right off. So set your RF gain.
Your number again, please. 39, thank you. Sierra 50 whiskey.
Okay.
50 whiskey.
Your filter width can be set right here.
Contact Sierra 50 whiskey.
So that's 3 kilohertz.
Contact Sierra 50
Here's 2 kilohertz.
50 whiskey.
Okay, so let's go to 2.2 kilohertz. Now, the beautiful thing about this is it gives you an IF shift.
50 whiskey, sugar 50 whiskey.
So if you have many conventional transceivers have a very simple IF shift, right? Which is really handy if you have splatter only on one side. And what this does is it shifts both sides of the passband together one way or the other, right? It's very quick and very handy. Kind of the cool thing about this is you have access to the twin PBTs right here on the screen. So you can just move your inside and outsides around until you eliminate the QRM right here on the screen. So let's do that. So turn your noise reduction on. Here it is. Here's your noise reduction level over on the left-hand side. Oof. If you need to center and start over, right-click on IF shift on any of these. This is the way it works. Right-click, hit center. It will recenter it for you automatically. You see? So everything is right here on the screen. I'm going to go ahead and mute this. Notch filter. Well, let me show you the notch filter really quick. So make sure your manual notch is on. The only thing you can't control is a notch filter width from here. I don't believe. Yeah, no, noise blanker you can, but notch filter width you can't. So that's narrow. So kill that. Boy. See how that there's a station in there that's so far into the passband, you'll find that there's almost nothing you can do about it, man. Once it gets deep into the passband, you're pretty much screwed. You just have to make the best of it. So what we'll do is we'll center the PBTs. We'll roll the noise reduction back. We'll try just the IF shift. A lot of situations, the IF shift is very handy. Remember, all you want is it copyable. You don't care what he sounds like. You just need to copy him. Okay, I'm going to bring the filter width right in and see when we lose his audio. 2 kilohertz. 1.5. So you can kind of see how you can kind of, what I wanted to do is give the newcomers to the 7300 the capability, you know, just put some tools in your hand and help people out in understanding how this radio works, how to make it work for you. It's one of those transceivers that has a lot of features, a lot of functions to it. There's one thing that you can't escape with this. Professor is ignoring the peanut gallery so far. What's up, Alexander? So the big issue with the 7300, I believe, is the AGC slope. Ellicraft, I was completely unaware of this. Ellicraft, like the K3 transceivers, I believe what's the QRP rig? The KX3, is that it? Even the QRP one, I believe you can actually go in. It's in a menu somewhere in the Ellicraft transceivers. I was told this by a guy. You can go in and actually adjust the AGC slope on the Ellicraft transceivers. And for those of you who have been following my channel, know how important it is to get AGC control in a receiver. You'll find that the minute you start running any kind of SDR dongle or anything, the most powerful weapon there is. Unfortunately, we don't have this capability in the 7300, and the AGC slope is a disaster in this radio. You know, but it's not bad for what it is, you know. So I just wanted to throw that out there for folks that have just gotten the radio and they want to play in the contest, and they look at this thing and they go, good God, what do I do with all this stuff? There you go. That should get you going in at least a direction and make the experience a little bit more pleasurable. KX2, the KX2 is an SDR. Hey, Chuck. So anyways, that's it for me. I'm going to go out and get and start working on the NFED. I don't know if the Duo is going to be here today or not, but it would be very cool to have that up and running by this afternoon. Don't know. I don't even know how to use the software yet, so that's probably going to take a few days. Yeah, KX3 is anything from Ellicraft is superb, man. Yeah, Chuck, this is the video. You're going to have to go back and watch it. Hang on. Yeah, Chuck, I basically, I don't know when you came in, but that's what I was doing. I was talking to a friend of mine this morning, Dave. He's down in Florida, and he just bought a 7300. And there is just a ton of functions on this radio, and it's daunting. It's like a 3-ring circus trying to reel in the QRM on this thing. You did just get here, and good to see you, man. Hope all is well. So what I was doing was doing a complete run through on all the different settings you can do to handle close-in QRM. It's surprisingly effective in spite of the poor AGC slope set in it from the factory. All the events that I have taken, believe it or not, I'm trying to think if I've actually taken any of the events on the SDR, like running console or whatever. I used to run the 7300 standalone, and I used HRD as a control surface, like I showed you guys, and I used HD SDR as just strictly a visual pan adapter. So I could see what was going on the band, and I could just click on it and move. And I actually used the 7300 front end with all of these functions to work the events, and with a decent amount of success, for me, personally speaking. So it is very capable. However, you just got to play with it, and you got to learn how to make it all work. And that's why I find having like the free version of HRD with the controls for the filter widths, the IF shifts, the twin PBTs, the noise reduction system, the notch control, the RF gain, all right there in that window is invaluable to me, especially in a contest, because you want to be able, like, if you get to a place, right, and it's a good signal, remember, anywhere you move on the band, those settings are going to be in place no matter what frequency you go to. So I like that type of a system, so you can literally right click on one of those sliders and click center, boom, it snaps everything back to default, back to center. And it's very quick. You can either use the IF shift or just grab the twin PBTs and a quick slide of the mouse one way or another. You're there. So anyways, let me check the chat before I get out of here. Blah. Yeah, it's a very complex radio, to run in a contest environment. There's just so many things that you have to do. It's like I said, it's a circus trying to reel it in. Can you do it? Hell yeah. It works really good, but it's complex. So having a control surface, now I don't know if the RSBA1 software does that. I suspect it might. I thought that was more for remote control. So there may be other options too, other than HRD. I really don't know. I'm not paying much attention. So, yeah, Paul, there's a reason why DXpeditions use Elecraft, isn't there? I've always wanted one, and maybe someday before I croak, I'll have one. They're just superb transceivers. They make these rice burners look like an absolute piece of trash. They really do. They're so good. There's a reason. I've always said that. Oh, well, people balk it. I'm like, no, there's a reason DXpeditions use Elecraft transceivers. So, that's what I do, Chuck. Do you work from one end of the? That's what I do. I work from one end of the band to the other. Otherwise, I lose track of everything. I lose track of where I was. Yeah. So, anyways, I think that's it. Alexander was kicked out of all my portable operation spots. Can't go to my normal shack because it's at my old folks' house. Oh no, Alex, you kidding? Yeah, that's what I thought, Andy. Yeah, I heard it's wonky too, at best. I don't know if that's really true. I don't know. That's what I heard. I was like, everybody's like, don't waste your money. There's plenty of other options out there. Anyways, I'm out of here. I got to get outside, get to work. Track of which. Yeah, no kidding, right? lose track of which way I'm tuning. I can't keep track of anything anymore, man. I swear my melon is getting soft or something. So hope you guys have a good day. This will render, and I'm going to tag it and get the, what do you call that? You know, that stuff in there, so people find it. And you guys stay safe, take care. Maybe back, I'll probably be back later. I don't know. I was going to check to see if my friend Brian is on 40. But yeah, isn't it? Well, yeah, it's not as big as stateside here, 75, man. That is one ginormous freaking chunk of change. That is a big band. We'll catch you guys later. Behave yourselves. We'll be around. 7-3. K1GMM. Chuck, that I don't understand that. I know the 7300 has better audio than the 3000, hands down. It's a very capable rig. Audio wise, it's just brick walled at the top end, you know. Beautiful audio. I have people ask me all the time, "What are you running in a non?" And it's also incredibly tight. I've been doing some testing with a friend of mine who has an FTDX 1200. There's 3000s in there, and I personally would love a 3000. I would for contesting, but they're not clean. That's the problem. The 7300, when you see it on a pan adapter, you have to look really close to tell whether it's in the non or not. It is so clean, and I run a 30-year-old amplifier, and it's still that clean. Very, very tight. All your audio is forced out within that spectrum of range, you know. Hey, Randy, what's going on? I would still like a 3000. You know what I've been eyeballing is a 5000. But I think if I do anything, I think I'm going to move into an 890S. That's going to be probably the transceiver of choice. Just beautiful audio. Freaking things are ridiculous. Rivals any Anon I've ever heard. The one I heard out of Europe was the most spectacular thing I've ever heard. The guy was using a Rode microphone and some external processing, but freaking spectacular. And of course, Travis out in California, my friend out there, he had a 7300. He bought the 980 and he kept the 7300 thinking he'd have a use for it. He sold it immediately. He's like, can't hold a candle to a fart compared to the front end of that 980. This made the 7300 completely useless, he said. So he just sold it. That's how insanely, that's how different it was. And the front end of a 7300, the receiver is, you look at it on the friggin', it's not a slouch. The 7300 front end is a very good receiver. And the 980 humiliated it. He said he could hear things on the 980 he couldn't copy at all on the 7300. That's amazing because the 7300 is not bad on receive. So anyways, I'll see you later. Have a good day, you guys. 7-3.